Hey everybody, I'm going to take over with Woman Crush Wednesday that got cut off on the previous video. The question you're thinking about is, what does Gatsby want to recover? And he's talking about Daisy Buchanan, of course. And she doesn't understand, he said. She used to be able to understand. We'd sit for hours. He broke off and began to walk up and down a desolate path of fruit rinds and discarded favors and crushed flowers. I wouldn't ask too much of her, I ventured. You can't repeat the past. Can't repeat the past? He cried incredulously. Why, of course you can. He looked around him wildly, as if the past were lurking here in the shadow of his house, just out of reach of his hand. I'm going to fix everything just the way it was before, he said, nodding determinedly. She'll see. He talked a lot about the past, and I gathered that he wanted to recover something, some idea of himself perhaps, that had gone into loving Daisy. His life had been confused and disordered since then, but if he could once return to a certain starting place and go over it all slowly, he could find out what that thing was. All right, so you're going to reflect back on that passage, thinking about what does Gatsby want to recover. For Throwback Thursday, which is 5 years before, our question is, what might the ladder and secret place above the trees represent? All right, so think about that as I read. One autumn night, 5 years before, they had been walking down the street when the leaves were falling, and they came to a place where there were no trees, and the sidewalk was white with moonlight. They stopped here and turned toward each other. Now it was a cool night with that mysterious excitement in it which comes at the two changes of the year. The quiet lights in the houses were humming out into the darkness, and there was a stir and bustle among the stars. Out of the corner of his eye, Gatsby saw that the blocks of the sidewalks really formed a ladder and mounted to a secret place above the trees. He could climb to it. If he climbed alone, and once there, he could suck on the pap of life, gulp down the incomparable milk of wonder. What do you think that secret place is above the trees? And what is that ladder? What is Gatsby trying to achieve? And so what do those represent? For our last one, Flashback Friday, the incarnation, the question is, how is Daisy like a flower? What does Fitzgerald mean when he says she blossomed and the incarnation was complete? Your hint is to look up the definition for incarnation if you are confused. All right, so it says, his heart beat faster and faster as Daisy's white face came up to his own. He knew that when he kissed this girl and forever wed his unutterable visions to her perishable breath, his mind would never romp again like the mind of God. So he waited, listening for a moment longer to the turning fork that had been struck upon a star. Then he kissed her. At his lips' touch, she blossomed for him like a flower, and the incarnation was complete. I'll give you one more hint. It is not an inappropriate answer that you are looking for. So take that into consideration as you think about what this might mean and how Daisy is like a flower.